more catch up. Yay. Saw 4 was released in 2007, once again directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, and it stars Tobin Bell, Scott Patterson, and Lyric Bent. And the consensus on this movie is that this is really where the franchise started to dip in quality. But I still have some enjoyment with this movie. So let's go ahead and start off this review. Starting off with the good. And obviously, just like with every review in this series, I'm going to say Tobin Bell as John Kramer did a really great job. Despite John Kramer getting killed off in the ending of Saw 3, we still get him back in this movie. We actually get flashbacks showing his origin story and what made him snap and become this vicious serial killer. And yes, he is a serial killer. And it's a really interesting backstory with really great emotional performances from Tobin Bell within these flashbacks. It was just really great to see him once again. And then you have the main police detective who is investigating the whole case, and that is Agent Strom, who is an FBI agent, played by Scott Patterson. And I feel like Scott Patterson did a really great job. This character does feel like he was written for Nick Cage, but they couldn't afford Nick Cage, or Nick Cage didn't want to do it or something. But Scott Patterson still does a really great job, and I really like the character of Strom. Despite him making some borderline idiotic decisions in the film after this, I really like Strom and his whole story arc between this one and the next one. And then you have the main game player in this movie, I guess. You have Detective Rigg, played by Lyric Bent. And I thought that he did a really great job, even though the reason why he was tested was a little odd, I would say. I still think he did a really great job as Detective Rigg. And aside from the characters, the main game here is pretty good. There's a couple good traps in this movie, mainly the chair with the gears that scalps someone, and the one with the bed and the things that poke out your eyes. That was a really good trap as well. And the way it ended with closing out the Eric Matthews storyline, which was established in Saw 2, that was really, really great as well, to see how that storyline ended. And obviously you got a really great score. The theme song is amazing, like I have said already. It's probably the most badass horror theme song in history. And aside from the first one, I'd say this movie has probably the best twist in the franchise at the very end, because this franchise has become known for the final act twist, and I feel like it was a pretty good twist in this movie. It's not nearly as great as the first one, mind you, but it did give us the start of the whole Hoffman era of Saw films, and I've actually come to appreciate the character of Hoffman a little more. He's barely in this movie except from being tied to a chair for most of it. But you still get a really good reveal with him being the killer at the end. And also a really great twist was the fact that this movie was happening at the exact same time as Saw 3, which I personally didn't see coming the first time I saw this movie, because it opens with the autopsy of John Kramer, and then we find out that was actually a flash forward and the main story happens at the same time as Saw 3. I just thought that was a really clever twist. And that's about all for the good. On to the bad, and there's a couple things I'm not a fan of. Aside from a couple traps in this movie, I really didn't care much for the traps here. Aside from a couple, the others were kind of either forgettable or too tame, I guess you could say that. And then the whole reason why Rigg was tested was because he acted too fast to some situations. That was a little random, but okay. But yeah, that's about all for the bad. On to the final thoughts. I actually really enjoy this movie. It's not perfect. It's nowhere near as great as the first one, but I still think it's a pretty solid continuation of the Saw franchise. Saw 4 is not a masterpiece by any means, but I find fun with it, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So that was my thoughts on Saw 4. Have you seen this movie? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it, if you have. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.